Alright, story time. And by story time, I mean nightmare, because one of my worst fears has finally happened. I went to open the case here. There's a door, it swings over like this. And something happened where some of these trains started dominoing effect down, and it knocked the bottom two guys off, and of course hit the hard tile right here. Ouch. When I first set these up, this was all on carpet, so it wasn't so bad if that were to happen, but now that I moved and ended up over here, there's no other place to put them, and they're just on this hard tile. Yeah, so I already picked up the pieces. Here's the aftermath. It unfortunately was that GG1 from Kato, and then this much older lifelike, I think. He got hit pretty hard too. So the question then becomes, can I put Humpty Dumpty back together again? Will these hold up and work once more? Or are they just parts now because of a doomed disaster that had happened? This guy didn't seem to much happened to him. The shell popped off, which I kind of started to put back together again. One of his wheels came off, that's over here. And then the windshield popped out too when the shell came off. So who knows? Who knows if the engine's still gonna work? I haven't tested these at all. Like I said, I thought I'd at least document that this happened as a fair warning to others that this might happen if something similar could happen to you. Be on the lookout. The GG1's in a much worse shape. I think I picked up all the pieces, but it just scattered everywhere. So who knows? When I try to put them all back together again, we'll see if I'm missing something, because there's a lot of little bits here that came off that I'll have to figure out what to do. I know at least some of it broke, because like this piece, who knows what that's from. This piece too, I don't know. This piece looks like it cracked or something, so maybe they're all connected. Maybe it's all minor and it doesn't really matter. But like the wheels seem to be all intact. The drive shafts are these little guys here, so I found those. Here's a light. I don't know where this goes. This might be for the other one, the New Haven. Because I don't think the lights here are like behind this giant metal thing. So I don't think that came out of here at all. It had to have come out of the other one. Pantographs came off on one piece. It looks like they might just snap back together, so I'm not too concerned about those. But one did like crack in half. Like obviously those two came from somewhere. I don't know. I'll have to fiddle with it, put it back together, and see what happens. So yeah, unfortunate, but it did. And I think I found all the pieces. So like I said, we're gonna try to put them together again and see what happens here. All right, well, diagnostic number 1 here. Interesting developments. One being that when I popped off the full case, there is no light here. This is a solid piece of metal. So I thought there was a light up here, but I must have been wrong. So I have no idea where this little bulb came from. If it came from this or something else, or the GG1. I have no idea. It looks like this, I can't tell. Does it plug into something or did the wire snap? I don't know. I have no idea where that would have come from, because it obviously didn't come from here, because there aren't any bulbs or wires or anything in this guy. This is easy to install. That just comes up in here and you just pop it on like so. And then when we put the case in, it will be ready to pop it back on. The downside of this one, beyond, I don't know where that bulb came from, is that I seem to be missing this side of the casing that goes across here, which is bad, because not only does that hold these wheels in place, but it also, if you see the sides there, has those copper connectors that run across the wheels. So without that, this side doesn't get powered. I have no idea where that piece would be. It's not in my little bits on the table, so it must have gone somewhere, and there's a big old chunk of plastic to just disappear on you. So I don't know what happened to it. Maybe it popped under my display case? Although I thought I tried to look under there and I didn't see anything. So I'm gonna keep looking because it's gotta be somewhere over there. I just don't know where it is. So right now this one's dead in the water. Can't run it because I don't have the bottom thing to hold the wheels in place. So, you know, 0 for 1 right now. So let me get on that GG, I think it's a GG1, and fix that one up. Well, some good news. When I went to grab the GG1 bits, I did find that piece for the other one. It was sitting behind that battery pack over there. So I did find this, but the downside is I only see one of these copper connectors when you kind of need two. So I'll keep looking for the other one. That's going to be very tough to find on that tile. And of course, when they both fell, pieces just scattered to the winds. So trying to find that little piece over there is going to be tough if I haven't found it already, which it looks like I have not. So we'll have to see what happens there with that one, but I can at least try to put that back together on this guy and then see if it actually works. Who knows? It might work without that third connector. But I'm going to try to find it first of all, and then hopefully I can, and then in theory everything's found for that one. Again, I have no idea where this little bulb came from, because as you can see, there are lights on this one. But it's pretty solid, and there's no way that bulb would have came out of here, so I don't know where that would have come from. No matter. Who knows? Who really knows? But I'm going to try to put all this back together and see what happens with this guy. One more other thing to note, this little coupler here, as you can see it, pick it up, that's clearly a coupler. I thought it came from this guy, but if you look, they're both here. So it must have come from this one, and it came probably from that front. So somehow I got to get that back in there. It looks like I'm missing a piece because there's like a pin or something that like slides in. There's like a little hole here I saw. If I can keep it in focus, you see that hole? It looks like some kind of pin went up and connected it to there and snapped in from the bottom. But if you look at the thingy here, like that's clearly the front, and there's just no place to connect anything here. And even when you pop it in like this, like you'll see it's not there. So I don't know, I must be missing again something else, because I don't know how to connect that coupler back. This little thing, I don't know what it's from. It almost looks too modern to be on that in New Haven. But this might have something to do with it, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna have to dig out the box and see if there's a schematic to see how this thing goes back together. And if I am missing something else too. But for now, I'm still gonna circle around to this GG1 and see what happens popping this together again. All right, damage report on this guy. Unfortunately, something did happen here, because you can see that piece is like sawed off. This is what the other side should look like. You can see there's like a little step or something there, and it's also on this side, but it's not on this side. It's gone, it's missing, and I don't even see it in these little bits. That is something different. So it's not that, and I don't see that little piece. So it's not like I can glue it back on. Maybe I'll find it one day, but it ain't here, and I'm not too worried about it because obviously this thing will still work without it. So just wanted to call that out. Everything else looks intact. Like all these trucks look as complicated as it looks. It looks like they are intact and everything's gonna work just fine. All I have to do is pop in the drive shaft here, which is what I did, and then that slides into the hole here, and then you just snap it up and it should be working again. So yahoo, it's looking pretty good from this end, apart from that little part right there. All right, well, I was able to snap all this back together again pretty easily. I feared the worst when it happened, but this guy came back together really nice. Even the pantographs, one was fully intact, and I was able to slide it in no problem. And then the other one, I just had to put it a little snapping back together, but then everything's there, so it worked. One thing I did notice, if you look right here, that looks like an impact center right there, where the little shiny part is, because that is a big old dent in the casing. You probably won't notice it at all unless I point it out, but I did see that there. And then when you look at this one, I noticed that this back wheel has a big old chunk taken out of it. So that must have been right here where this one hit. Very interesting. I don't think it will affect the performance if I get this one working again, but it is pretty funny that seems to be where that one hit, and this seems to be where this one hit. So now the question is, this one's ready to go, so I'm going to test this one out. This guy, I don't know what to do yet. I still need to find those copper connectors. The other one of this guy, if he even exists somewhere, which he must, because this piece had to fly somewhere when it hit the ground. I'm gonna keep looking at it harder, see if I can find it. Some other things to note. Remember that piece that I thought wasn't there, but actually, well, guess what? It kind of is, because see this piece right here with the 3 dots on the front? Guess where that goes? Look at this side. Bam. And then if you turn around here, it goes right there. So one thing I also just noticed is that this piece right here apparently goes right here, because you can see it in the coupler right between those 2 things with the 3 dots. So I don't have it on this side, I just noticed that, so I'm going to try to pop that guy back on. There's another spring here. I don't know what that could be from. I think that's from the other coupler that might go in this one somehow, because I don't think that nothing's really springy here, and the ones that are all copper based, so I think that came from a different engine, probably this guy in the back. So cool, at least this one looks good. We'll see what happens when the real test happens, when you pop it on the track and turn it on. Hopefully it still works. We'll give it a little test and find out. All right, moment of truth here we go. Tabletop test. Let's see which way it moves. Hopefully it goes somewhere. Oh, it lives. Well, all right, that one works pretty good, and it has a nice big front light, so at least that side didn't come from that little bulb. I also noticed too, I think this is too wide to fit on this little tabletop track. So let's just do a quick little test in reverse to see if that other backlight comes on. And it does. So clearly, that bulb didn't come from here, and because that derailed, it's not meant to go around these curves. But it does work, and that's incredible, because this thing fell from 4 feet, over 4 feet, onto a very hard tile. And what do you know? Congratulations, Kato. You survived the drop test. Humpty Dumpty has been put back together again. The GG1 King lives on. Congratulations to myself for finding all the little bits. I'm pretty happy with this one. The only downside is that little piece that snapped off, which I can, I guess, try to super glue back on. Everything else seems to be here. I don't see any other flaws or missing pieces or anything like that. So like I said, when it happened, I feared the worst. I thought this engine was just going to be dead, but no, it works, and it works well. So I'm happy with that little test. The other one, I still got to find the little copper piece. Haven't really looked for it yet, but it's got to be somewhere. But if that comes back, I'll do another little test of that one to see if it comes back. But if not, at least I got one working, and that's a big one in my book, considering what happened. So, yahoo! Very nice. I am thrilled. Alright, I'm looking all over here just for that other little piece, and I'm looking, and look what I found right here. Heck yeah! There it'd be, where it landed, from the explosion. It looks like there's maybe something else right there too that I can use, but for right now, this is where it landed from the drop, right behind my little Roomba box here. Wow, I can't believe I found this actually, because I was looking for quite a while for all the extra bits and pieces when it happened. So yeah, very happy to report it has been found, and it's been found right here. Cool. You know what this might be actually, is that little metal or rod that goes up for the coupler, now that I think about it. So cool, look at that. I might have found the solution there. Well, how about that? I think that was that little piece, because I slid in the coupler, slid in the rod, and everything connected back up again. Wow, I just found that, like, randomly when I was doing that little video there. I just happened to look up and there was that other little piece, so wow. Can't believe that actually worked, and I think that's all I needed to get that coupler back in play. This is just a dummy, it's not a real one anyway, but still, wow. I can't believe that both that little rod and this other copper connector were both randomly together like that, and I only happened to see it because I was doing that short little video showing you where I found it at. Cool. Incredible odds, but we are about ready here to pop everything back together on this guy too and get it all working again. Hopefully that motor still runs. Alright, well, remember how I said that wheel was dented from an apparent impact zone? Well, guess what? When you pop off the wheel and look at it from this angle, it's all bent. You can really tell right here how it's all indented in. I'm gonna have to try to take some pliers or something and try to bend it back, because I don't think that's gonna work quite right if I run it like this. Well, after all that, we are ready to try and see if this works. It is a miracle if this one works just as well as the GG1 over there. Here goes nothing. Let's see what happens. Hey! Haha! It lives! They both live! How incredible is that? Alright. Very, very nice. Works just like it never fell there, so that's smooth too. Very, very nice. Can slow it down. Look at that. It goes slow, it goes fast. Wow.